Oh, we're recording.
Okay, hi everybody, welcome. I'm Carolyn and I'm taking Kathy Kyle to her place. She's our vice president, but can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I know you can. Okay, if you haven't, excuse me, you haven't signed in. If you haven't signed in, there's 2 sign-in sheets, one for guests, one for members. Make sure you sign in because later, towards the end of the meeting, there's flowers back there you might win if you've signed in, so don't forget. Are there any new members here today?
Yes.
Welcome, new member. Any visitors that are not members? Welcome. Oh, good. Oh, we've got a few people. That's wonderful. We're so glad you're here. If this is your first time at the Senior Center and you've never filled out a waiver, it's basically just a hold harmless in case you fall down or hurt yourself, you can't sue the place. So Roberta has these. If you have never filled one out, it's a one-time deal. She just put your hand up and she'll bring you one and you can give it back to her at the end of the meeting or whenever you feel like. If you brought your version of Linnell's Cosmic Cat, then you need to put your name on the list over here that says Cosmic Cat Challenge so that after our break we'll know to call you up and share that with us. Roberta would also like me to remind you that the refreshments don't magically appear. Actually, I said that. She didn't say that. We don't have refreshments for September, October, or November yet. So if you would like to sign up, she's going to pass this around. And if you want snacks, well, bring snacks. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why they let me do this. Okay. This is JR. Our presenter today is JR Sterba, and I'm going to tell you about JR. JR is a local Sacramento glass fusion artist who started out working with clay, but fell in love with glass. She moved to glass fusion art after studying in Fort Worth, Texas, and locally in Sacramento. She says that her work is inspired by the abstracts found in nature and that she truly enjoys seeing how glass interacts with nature, such as how the different hues of the day affect the glass and shine on it, within it, and through it. All of her work is hand-created, kiln-formed, unique in design, and one of a kind. Her studio is in the Sacramento area and is often referred to as the Glass Shack. JR says, and I quote, "My goal is to create art that is not only fun, but functional, part of the home decor, and which speaks to the soul. If you ever lose me in a crowd, just look for the shiny things." End quote. JR is going to show us some simple glass pieces, as well as several types of glass in raw form. She will introduce some of the tools she uses and will explain the process of glass fusing and how it's different from glass blowing. You can find JR on Instagram at hashtag, I knew that word, hashtag Glass Fusion Designs. Welcome, JR.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'm not really good at public speaking, but I'll try. How many of you know what glass fusion is? A little bit. Okay. So it's when we take the raw glass, we cut it up, we use a tool that many of you might know as a glass cutter. It's like we use for cutting your glass for your window that goes in your house or for your car window. They use a type tool like this. And you just mark the glass, pop it. And I cut it, and I put it together in different ways, and then I put it in a kiln and melt it down, and it becomes one piece of glass. And it always goes flat, but the other thing it does is it rounds out, because glass wants to be round when you melt it. If I want to make a bead like this, how it's different colors that are now melted all different ways, I take this disc that's flat with all the colors that are one, and I score it on the back with this tool again. And the fun part is I put it in a towel and I smash it with a hammer. And everybody's like, what? And then you get the designs you see all the different colors like this in a sandwich form, right? And then I put it back in the kiln, up like that. And again, it wants to come down and form a round shape. So I'll pass these around so you guys can kind of take a look at that. But the process is pretty simple, really, if you can cut glass, have a big kiln, and melt glass. It's a lot of fun. There's a whole lot of different techniques that you can use to do a lot of creative stuff. These are some circles I did to just play around and create other designs. I like to use a lot of color in my work, and I like to use patterns. This has an actual photo image that I use to put on the clear glass. And we take a photo and put it on photo paper and then transfer it to the glass and put it back in the kiln and melt it onto the glass itself. We can't do color. It's very expensive actually, but it does this sepia color when you do the photo onto the glass like this. It's really kind of a fun effect. We also have molds that shape the glass. So once it goes flat, we put a kiln wash onto a mold like this. And we have metal molds, and we have clay molds. And you put a wash on it, and you put your flat piece. You put your flat piece on like that, and then as it heats up in the kiln, it forms its shape and cools down, and you pop it out, and you have a shape like that.
She has a question.
Yeah.
On that one, obviously you had a piece of something that was larger than your form. Would you cut it the size of the form, or do you let it drape over? Or?
Depends on what you really want with it. But
Okay.
for a dish like that, I would cut it to the shape.
Have you tried something like that where you drape it over, or will you get holes through the top?
No, you can drape over, which is kind of fun to do too. Because I have, and I didn't bring it with me, but for like a flower, I will drape over like a cup,
Right.
a metal cup, and it'll drape over and then flow down. And you pull it off, and then you have a flower. And you can drill through it and create a stem
Nice.
and put it out in your garden. And then there are some things that, like my puddle pot, that has layers to it, and versus going totally smooth and flat, like this actually has texture. And the reason for that is how I burn it in the kiln. This is going to be a longer and hotter temperature, and this is going to be shorter and not so hot. And in so doing, this is a contour, what we call contour firing, and this is a full fire. And in so doing that, we get the two effects. It's quite fun.
How did you get the edging, the blue dark edge on that one?
That's several different glasses. So I would take a clear piece of glass like this, and then I would take a dark piece and layer it on the outside, and then fill with different colors here. So usually all of my glass is at least 2 to 3 layers of glass, including this bowl. So this bowl has yellow on the outside, and it has this patterned color on the inside. And you might see it in this one. It's got a crack right here because it fell and broke. Cool thing is it's glass, and that's what I tell everybody. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, be careful, be careful." It's glass. Put it back in the kiln. It's still glass, and it'll come back together. If I wanted, I could smash this and make something else. All the dust of the glass on my table that I get from cutting it, I store, because I can use it for something else. I can put it into another piece of glass, like this. This is all, I buy this little stuff in here. But this piece is made primarily of what we call frit, which is basically dust from glass. And I buy frit on a regular basis to make fillers or to cause texture. And they make a wide variety from baby powder fine, which you need to use a mask when you use this because it is very breathable, to, let's see, almost like rock candy, where it's very chunky. And it has to also just pass around for you. But yeah, they've got it, it's crazy, the different kinds of glass that you can use. All the way to glass rods.
Got another question over here.
When you're using the frits with other pieces of laid-on glass, what firing time, so the frit seems like it would melt faster than the other?
If you use it just the same, and a lot of times I use it to fill. So if I wanted to, let's say, see between the paw prints here, if I wanted to make this smooth and have this all one layer, I would use frit in here, and then it all melts the same time and everything.
Oh, wow.
And it all gets heated the same because of the coefficiency of it. And then when it cools back down, it all cools the same.
Right.
And now it's not going to expand because the frit in between it
Right.
has become one with
The rest of
the
it.
rest of the glass.
So there was a little place with a little white bone on it. How do you control that shape?
Again, with frit or with glass around it.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Does different glass melt at different temperature?
So yeah, actually it does. And it's based upon its coefficiency. So I buy what's called COE 96. And then there's COE 90. So 90 and 96 don't play well together.
Oh, okay.
And shower glass doors and Coke bottles don't play well together.
Okay.
So what is the temperature of your kiln?
So my kiln gets up to over 1900 degrees. And what I do, I have 4 to 5 stages that it goes through. It heats up to about 1445 for 10 minutes. Then it goes to 1325 for 20 minutes. And then it goes over 1500 for 2 hours. And that's part of the annealing process. And then it comes down to 850 for 10 minutes. And then it's got to come to at least 125 before I can open the kiln up and touch the glass. And then that takes 24 hours. Question?
Oh, that was the same question. It's a glass fusing kiln that you're using,
Correct.
is that correct?
Yeah. And I've been asked if I can use a clay kiln and a glass kiln for the same purpose. They don't recommend it. People have tried it, but it's not the best option.
So I have a question about
Yeah.
the square one. Yeah, so you said the color became sepia from the picture, so it was a clear piece of glass and it's the picture that gave that color sepia. Was that because the original picture was in sepia, or that's just because of the fire?
So the picture's in black and white, I printed in black and white, and when it burns, it turns to the sepia color.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I've taken an old photograph of my grandmother holding my mom as a baby, and turned that into a photo on glass. That turned out really cool.
I wondered, how do you transfer it onto the?
So the paper, actually, I soak it in distilled water for like 20 seconds, and it slides and moves on here. And then I just pat it dry, get it smooth. And please be very careful. This is a gift that I borrowed back. I can do it again, but I don't want to. And you'll feel actually on top of that, when you feel it, there's some texture, because I use superfine, super fine, but not the baby powder fine frit on top of it, just to hold the photograph paper down and make sure it doesn't float off while it's in the kiln.
And was that amber colored to start the glass?
Yeah, the glass was an amber.
So you can use colored glass and still get a sepia print
Mm-hmm.
on the different varieties of color. I'm sure some must do better than others. Color?
Yeah, well, I typically use white or ivory, but then I was talking to this really cool photographer over here. And we were discussing light and what would happen if, and there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I cannot believe that.
Pushing
That
the
was
art.
the inspiration
Nice.
behind it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm gonna.
It took me, how long ago was that conversation?
Maybe a year ago?
About a year ago. And I fired the glass, and it sat in my studio for like probably 9 months. And then I got inspired by that piece of art, which is actually someone's father's tattoo. And
Okay, well, so you said you have 2 weeks off during the holiday break.
Mhm.
I will come and challenge you then.
That's the time. Because actually, that's what it is.
So JR, is it special transfer paper?
Yeah, it is.
Special transfer paper.
Oh.
And is it an inkjet or a laser jet that you're printing
It
with?
is, I think it is a laser jet, it's a specific one, it's a HP that they recommend that prints only black and white, only just black ink.
Only black ink?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very specific about that.
Oh,
So I have one printer that's just dedicated to that job only. And it's pretty inexpensive, it's only like $150 for that printer. So.
JR, where does stained glass fit in this at all?
So stained glass, the cool thing about stained glass, it's pretty much the same cutting techniques, but they have to be a lot more precise than I do, because they have patterns that they work with.
Right.
And I have patterns that I work with, like the paw print is a pattern that I drew out on paper, and then I put my glass on and I cut around that pattern. And that's all hand, you know, it's not by saw. We have saws we can use for both stain or glass fusion. But if I'm off a little, the kiln does the trick for me because it rounds it. If a stained glass artist is off, they gotta keep at it. And we both use grinders, we both use the same tools and everything. But the other cool thing is, stained glass artists, it doesn't matter what kind of glass they use. It all plays together. And I have to use one type of glass.
And stained glass isn't that type.
No, they can use.
No, I mean, can you put, the glasses you use,
Mhm.
can you mix stained glass with the glasses you use?
Yeah, because they use the same coefficiencies that I do. If you, for example, there's a place called Rainbow Glass
Right.
on Auburn Boulevard in Sacramento. You've been there?
Yeah, lots.
Yeah, great place. Phil and Hazel, I love them. That's where I get a lot of my glass. And they do stained glass classes, glass blowing and glass fusion. And all their scrap stuff, the stained glass folks can use. whether it's COB 96 or 90 or whatever you bring in.
So on that note, I've got a ton of leftover glass from glass projects in the past, but I don't know if it's 90 or 96. Is there a way of knowing? After you try it? No, so you just have to try it and see if it played together well.
Or stick with stained glass.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
I won't be bringing it to you then, that won't be a gift. will it?
yeah. Not my kill. But yeah.
What does not playing together mean? Explode?
It can. And I do have an example at home that I should have brought. But when I took the class in Texas, they accidentally had some mixed. And in the bowl that I have, the beads that were 90 are not smooth, they're very rough. So in my beautiful smooth dish, there's these rough beads, and they look like melted M&Ms.
And it didn't turn out to be a good accident, because sometimes you get those.
Yeah, no.
No.
Sadly.
I've had on accidents.
Yeah. And we also have different glasses that oxide with glass. So, or copper reacts, and glass reacts differently with glass. So I have these samples here that I use for two reasons. Because I like bubbles in my glass as well. And depending on how close you put your these silly little sticks of glass, you can see these very well. But this is glass as well that I buy. I can also make this and make it more kind of crazy like, but I buy it in thin strip like this, or in this very thin, narrow noodle like that. And you can put them together to create stripes and stuff, or different designs and patterns. And one of my early pieces, I made little lollipops. So there's a clear piece of glass on the back, the amber, and then there's a white strip with streamers and noodles, and then circles, and then noodles here to make lollipops, and then it went into a mold. But if you want to create bubbles, you can, with a squeeze technique, using the stringers and then another piece of glass on top. And with this, you see, this is a regular piece of clear glass on top with a reactive piece of glass to this type of stringer where the two interact and change the color. So, got a couple of pieces to show you different bubbles and how the two interact together. Any other questions right now?
I was kind of wondering with the skull that you showed,
Yeah.
what your techniques were in creating that.
So this is actually painted. I hand paint these, and then I add beads. I do use a stencil to get the outline. I'm getting better with the interior. The rose I use a stencil as well. But I do hand paint all of it. It's pretty time consuming, and I have tremors.
What type of paint?
It's a specific glass paint, so it does have glass material within it. And it looks, when I paint it, it looks very, it actually can chip right off. And it can smudge right off, which is always fun because I'll be going down and I'll go like this.
Oh.
And I'll get this out and start over.
And do you fire it after you paint it?
Yes.
And that's then would seal it.
Yep. Yep. And I don't have to do anything special over the paint. paint itself is what seals itself to the glass. And as I stated, I have tremors, so I'm very fun to watch when I do stuff like this. Because I go in, hey, and yeah. So don't allow yourself to be intimidated by stuff like that, because it's actually a good focus thing for me to do that. I've actually taped myself cutting. I have a backsplash in my kitchen that I started doing a while back, and I taped myself cutting 5 large pieces of glass, and I'm cutting the wave of the backsplash, and I'm like, doo-doo-doo, what I'm thinking, and it's like, I'm like, well, I am not putting that on social media. It's entertaining to watch.
So many of us relate to that.
Exactly. And I really should put it on social media,
Yeah,
just for that purpose.
We're all getting to that point that nobody's hands are steady as they used to be.
Yeah, I actually have essential tremors, which is hereditary in my family. Oh, good, we're gonna find some little fun pieces of glass on the floor. Nothing that's sharp, though, I hope.
Don't go barefoot. Yeah.
But it's funny, in my studio, I want to put a mat that says, please take your shoes off.
That's just me.
That's a little twisted sometimes. So some other fun glass that I like to use are these murins, and what they do is they make these rods like these that they pull from a kiln, and they put little dragonflies and stars in them, and then they snip these, and then I can put them in the glass. You might see it in the skull. There's in each corner, I typically put a mirror in those, just to give each one its own unique design. And then we have Dichro. And Dichro is fun. It's very shiny. And a lot of people see these on pendants.
Oh, yeah.
And for a piece of Dichro, about yay big, it costs us $22. So when I see another glass artist selling a pendant like this for 15 or 20 bucks, I'm like, are you kidding me? It kills me. But there you have it. So when it's fired, as many of us know, it looks like that in the sun. So again, this has got different types of frit, the little cut rods, and it's got noodles in it, and then the Dichro. And then I put it on something to make it over Wally.
So
Another
the
question.
design you end up with, do you plan it, or is it kind of like a little bit of the mystery of what's gonna happen in the kiln and come out? So you obviously place the shapes and colors, but then after that, is there like a little bit magic moment where things happen out of your control?
Only occasionally does it create something out of my control in the kiln.
Okay, so it's very, very controlled. So your design to begin with is the design that's gonna come out.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting,
Yeah.
okay.
Question back
Yes.
there.
So I'm looking at this rod, that's what you call this, right? And is there a way to make it soft so that you could put it on wiggly? Or do you have to just use it straight as it is?
It's a good question. There is a way to do that, and it's called fire. Exactly.
Well, that's
It's called
basically
torching.
it, but how would you would have to hold on to it with tongs like, say, a glass blower would use, and you just put it, you torch it and
You
warm
can
it up,
torch it,
lay it
or-
on there, sort of melt it and lay it on
Or
there.
like what I do with like little ones like this, I'll get a candle and I'll hold it over the flame and just bend it, soft, get it warm, and then I'll twist it to what I want, and then cool it down, and then wipe the soot off very carefully.
Because I like this, but I would like to do something with it other than just straight.
Yeah. But yeah, for that you need a torch, and you need, just be careful, maybe a glove, and then I'm crazy, I do silly things. Yes?
I have a question about the kiln.
Huh?
Why can't you use a clay kiln that's used for clay, for glass, because of the dust from the clay?
It's designed differently. I haven't been given a proper answer, and I'm even going to my specialists in Texas. But according to Connie, she says the way that they're designed, there are two different designs, and my glass kiln, the elements are on top. Whereas if the clay kiln is more around the whole kiln.
Yes.
So I think that has some responsibility for it. Mhm. Any other questions? Yeah.
Have you ever made your own forms?
You can. That's a great question. So there's a couple of ways to do that. You can get the clay and make your own form, which a lot of people do. And there is also something called glass casting, which is the next thing I really want to do. And you make your own molds, and then you cast a form into it using different types of glass. You can use chunks of glass and just melt it to create that form, or you can use grit, for small things. The other thing you can do, and I use it often, is this fiber paper. So I will cut a shape like that, let's say, and then I'll lay glass on top of this, and now it'll melt into this shape. So if I wanted to do, for example, if I did this and this with this piece of glass, it would be the square with the drop down here.
Oh,
So then I would take it out of the kiln, and it would be raised on the sides with a drop.
now if you fuse it and you've got a drop down like that, could you then cut your glass after it's been fused to get the edges off if you wanted?
Yeah.
So it
You
is
can.
cuttable after it's fused?
Okay. I mean, that's what I've done with these, right? Because I melted the squares
Oh, right,
and then scored the back
oh, right,
and
okay.
then smashed it. And I've had situations where something came out of the kiln, like we spoke about, where it came over the edge a little bit, and so I cut it off and then put it on the grinder, threw it back in the kiln, and smoothed it out again.
Oh, so if you grind the glass, you're gonna have a rough, a kind of a not polished, is that why you would throw it back in the kiln?
Yeah, it can be rough. You can do a hand polish on it. There's also something that's called a fire polish.
Oh,
So that's another technique that you can use to, there are what they call, if I wanted both of these sides to be smooth and rounded, I could put this back in and fire polish this side, which is a quick, fast.
okay, so it's not, so it's not gonna slump, it's just gonna,
Give a fire polish, yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of different techniques. And then, I like to play around and just try different shapes. Like, this was a little something I made because I wanted to make ice cubes for a drink that I made for some friends that wanted a martini and I think it was a highball glass with something in it.
Oh, cool.
And so I made ice cubes and I just tossed a heart on top of it, and they're just fun to have around.
So did you say you made a highball glass itself?
No, I made it was a wall display,
Uh-huh.
and so I made it glass,
cool.
yay.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
yay, yay.
And then I made a martini glass that was, yeah. And, yeah. So you can let your imagination go, and have a lot of fun. Yeah. This is one of my favorite types of things to make. I don't know if you can catch the iridescence on this. This is a lot of fun because I really never know how they're going to come out. And this one is done actually with a clear piece of glass that I cut here on the back. I don't always do that. And then these are just chunks of glass that I've cut, that I've placed on top. And then I use the frit here. This is all just frit on top. I'm not going to pass this around. You guys can come up here and look at this one. And I used iridized glass in this for the effect. And I also get this in iridescent, so that during the different daylight, it changes color.
So would that have been one firing, or is that a?
One fire.
And a different one because you've got texture, right?
Yes, the contour firing like a pedal pop, or pedal pop, yeah.
You have holes drilled in that?
No, I don't have holes drilled in
That's
this
on
one.
there. So you said something earlier about being able to drill holes
Mhm.
with, is it a special bit that you have to have?
Yeah, I do use a special bit, and I have Betty, she's my drill press. She's about yay big.
Nice, okay.
But you can use a Dremel, but there are specific bits that I recommend. But I've seen people take actual just drills. But you got to use water. Make sure you're using water. You need to go slow, come back out, go slow, come back out. Don't go whoop. But it's glass. You can throw it back in the kiln. And that's what, everybody thinks I'm that because it's like, I'm just a bull and a china shop. Carrying my stuff around. And it's just glass. You can do it again. I took a clay class years ago at ARC. And the first thing that the instructor did was she had us make something that we wanted to, that we considered really special to us. So we made these little things, we fired them up, and she said, okay, come on, let's go out to this parking lot. Smash them now. Do it, because you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it one day. You're gonna accidentally break something, and it's gonna mean something to you. Ever since, it's like, hey, it's just glass. It's not easy, but it is. Any other fun questions? Would you guys like to come up? Oh, one more piece. This is a candle bridge. And it's got an interesting little space for a candle. Took forever to get the firing rate on this. So they give us different instructions for each of the different holes, but everybody's kiln is different, and sometimes it takes several firings to get it right. And once in a while, they get stuck to the mold, and you gotta find another one. But once you get it down, you write it down. Always take notes. Always, always, always take notes of what you're doing. So that's another, and that's 2 layers of glass as well. And really, I think this is last on the list. But again, playing around. These are strips of copper wire. And in this one, I treated it with ivory soap, Miracle-Gro, and a variety of lemon juice, and a variety of other things, just to see what the reactions would be. And this I didn't treat with anything, but copper wire and glass, because you can.
And Kevin,
You can.
That's fun.
Yeah. I think I should do pennies next.
Yeah, yes.
Before they become totally obsolete.
Yeah. Yes.
Does the glass kiln, does it bring it to each temperature or not like it's supposed to?
Say again.
Oh, does it automatically go to the right temperature?
Yeah, yeah, so-
Because you don't have to babysit it.
Nope, I run it at night because it gets way too hot in the glass shack. So it's programmed, that little digital program. The kiln itself has 2 shelves that are 20 inches by 20 inches. So, for a fee, if you need to get, and be recorded that way. I'm talking. Any other questions? Yes?
Do you ever put an object in the glass, like a leaf or a flower or a bug?
The only thing I've put is metal so far. If I put something like a leaf or a flower or something, it would probably disintegrate. I have been asked to do ashes, and that can be done as well. Ashes? Yeah.
Like
It-
magic coaster out of your father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will cause bubbles just because it's a foreign substance within the glass. Unless you kind of mix it in with some frit and do a couple of things, but yeah, you can do that as well.
So I'm thinking about like raccoon firing, where you put your stuff in a trash can with a bunch of newspaper and stuff, fire it like that.
Mhm.
Does that maybe do something to the glass? Have you ever seen something like that done?
I haven't, but that's kind of an intriguing little thought. I'm over to let's play.
Because I know it does really cool stuff to ceramics.
Yeah.
If we can find it.
Yeah, I don't know. You would have to, it would have to be a pretty warm fire, but I wonder if you could take some of the paints and do some fun stuff after you fired it. I mean, I'm always willing to do something fun. Any other fun questions?
So I think that you had mentioned to me once that you got some commissions to do some backsplash.
No, that's just in my kitchen.
Oh, it's just in the kitchen?
I'd love to get the commissions to do
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
But that's something that you can envision to do for somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is no real accident. Everything is kind of planned as you put it, so,
Exactly,
okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah.
have a photograph of that?
I do. See if I can,
Pass your phone around.
yeah, my card is here. My card. So,
Come up to the camera and let's see what we can do with
Here's-
getting that.
this is, that's it raw. That's what it looks like raw before, that's after I've cut it and laid it out on the clear glass. So that's anywhere between 4 to 6 layers of glass.
And how large is that?
Yeah.
That's gonna be about 13 inches high by about a foot and a half long. And that's per panel.
And that'll fit in your kiln.
Less than 20 by 20. Her kiln is 20 by 20.
So this is 3 panels in my kiln.
Oh, cool.
Okay. And then this is those panels put together outside of the kiln after they're fired. So to keep all the spacing and everything, I use the clear frit. Oops, so I can get it. No, get back here. Let's see. Kind of looks like jelly in there.
Oh,
Wait.
that's so cool.
Yeah. And it's super easy to keep clean.
Yeah, it would be. I want one.
Here you go. You've got a commission right here.
Right?
I'll send you my measurements.
The last panel took me 3 days to complete.
You mean the whole?
Just one panel.
One section of it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you see the frit in between everything?
That's
And-
pre-melting.
Yeah, it's pre-melting.
That is really cool.
Thank you.
That is very cool.
And,
Right. I think that is probably what spoke the most
yeah.
to me, to see that layering. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I see, I have a picture of it installed.
I think of that my animals won't demolish, you know?
Yeah,
You
it's,
can't have a big rock bowl because they just knock it off.
afterwards, remind me, I'll show you a picture of it installed, because I have that somewhere.
Nice, that's beautiful.
And then I've also used, I've made tiles, just regular 4x4 tiles, that I've incorporated on my walls as well, like just regular tiles that you would use for wall tile.
So you, with ceramics, you put glass also?
Well, that could be also a back,
Mhm.
watch them in piece of tiles and be
Yeah.
less strenuous for you to build.
Yeah.
And just by selling it as a,
Because I did a shiplap wall in my office at home, and what I did is I measured it out and cut a couple of the pieces of wood out for 4x4 and put in my glass tiles. And then in the knot holes, I put some of my glass beads and marbles. Because good. If I can find a way to get something shiny in my house, around my friend's necks or wherever, I'll do it.
So, JR, I'm looking on Amazon for what a kiln costs. And so what I see here is a Delphi Glass Easy Pro 15-6 kiln with tap controller for $1,861. But then I see a large microwave kiln for glass fusing for $34. I'm taking it, you're, based on your little smirk there, you're not recommending the microwave version.
Not unless you want to make easy bake oven type of cookies.
Oh, okay then.
Well, it seems like it wouldn't be very even heating or melting, yeah.
No. Those are great for like little projects to make.
Like if you're doing jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to make one layer of beads, go for it. It's going to be a long process though. I mean, it's not going to make anything substantial like that or a mold. It's not going to heat up to putting it into a mold to create anything substantial.
Is your electric bill enormous?
Nope,
That's what I was wondering.
not at all. It's a 50 amp dedicated to my glass shack that runs the whole shack. So,
Nice.
and again, I run it at night and go to sleep. It's off before I wake up, and it's just cooling down all day. Yeah.
Are there kilns that run on 110 instead of 220?
So I have a friend who's a nut job. It helps in this. Who has one that does do that. And the smaller ones you can get that do that. I have a couple small ones that run on 110.
And they run out the glass?
Oh yeah.
Do you know if you can get a programmable attachment for one, things like that?
Hmm?
So you can buy a programming unit that hooks up to the kiln?
Yep. Yeah. Grab my business card and
Well, I
email
think
me.
at the,
Yeah, right
art
now.
class, yeah, is just another distraction, though.
I know, we all need to get into this now, don't we?
I have a phone that I could maybe depart with. So, I have 3 of them. I have a small one that is that I need to. There's something called vitrograph that's pretty fascinating. And what you do is you take a small kiln about yay big, cut a hole in the bottom, and you get these clay pots. German or Italian clay pots are the best, and they're about yay big, right? put your flowers in, and they have a hole in the bottom already, right? So you put your clay pot in, and you take all your chunks of glass like this, all this scrap and stuff, and you cut it up and smash it up and put it in your clay pot, and you bring it up to about 1800 degrees, and you set it and you wait for a while, and all of a sudden it starts melting. And it comes out in this string. And you have this big metal basket underneath, and you take these long tweezers, and you grab it, and it's hot, red hot, and you pull it. You take scissors and you snip, and you pull it, and you snip. When you're done, you have this big basket that looks like a glass bird's nest. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
And, okay, oh, okay. So here's like a small piece, but you can, just give you here back. Yeah. But I did it actually in big chunks, and I can sell it for a lot of money on eBay. But I don't. But I like it because it's free flowing, and if you go to my website, you'll see my koi fish. It gives movement to pieces. So I did 2 pieces that have koi fish in them, and I used some clear vitrograph that the koi fish are swimming in water, and with the movement of the glass like that, you can just feel them floating and moving in the water. It gives that sensation.
Do you have a picture of that?
I do. There she was. I do. You guys are a challenging bunch.
They're very visual. The group is very visual.
Understandable. Let's see here.
Hence the visual artists.
All the forest fires you've had, have you guys seen anywhere they bring you? I've had a friend that does clean up, so he'll bring me these pieces, chunks of glass. Yeah, so you've got the forest fire, you've got all the blackening with it. Yeah, one was like, it was still like a metal container, you can see the glass just kind of melting down.
So you see in the center,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
right there in the center is the vitrograph.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
And then around the edges is what they call vitrogel. You guys come up and all, like you see this little gutter. But vitrogel is where they take a fine powder, again, much like baby powder, and you mix in your fine frit, different colors, because the vitrogel is a clear, and it's another form of glass, and you mix it with water, and it creates a gel, and you can use that to create, again, texture and wave and what have you, clouds.
But now the whole idea is that it's gonna eventually melt and flatten out.
Not with vitrograph. That's the cool thing about vitrograph is it becomes more solid, and depending on how much you build, but it takes up to a week to dry. So before you can put it in the kiln, you gotta make sure it's solidly dry. And rainbow glass used to have an amazing instructor on vitrogel, and that's where I learned that. And that piece is one of my first year pieces.
Nice. How large is that?
That one is about,
Oh, wow. You can't tell
yeah,
the photos.
yeah. And the funny thing is, the center of this piece, so this is the blue piece, the center piece, the circle is actually another piece, the first piece that I did. Let's go and get that to come up. There we go. That's the circle from the square. Yeah. And you'll also see that I used clear beads that I made clear beads for bubbles in it. So it's just what you want to do and the texture and design that you want to create. Just let your imagination go. I also create glass rods, like these, for different projects too. It's just because they're fun. Any other questions?
Jared, do you want to tell us where your next show is and when?
Sure. Coming up next month, I'll be at Open Studios at the back. No station, culture. What is it? Culture and arts and culture. I should know this. I work for this place. But we just call it the MAC. Wow.
And are you in the gallery in town? Aren't you in the?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And that was on the top of my head too. Ruth would like slap me.
And I wanted to let you know that there's a new gallery in Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
and they're losing their glass artist.
Ooh.
So if you're interested,
Good.
you should go and knock at their door.
Okay.
And in which gallery in Placerville?
I'm in the Placerville Art Gallery on Main Street.
When's the show?
The show is September 15, 16, and 17. If you come Friday the 15th, we'll have jazz, we'll have wine and beer for sale, and food trucks.
That's our studio tour.
I was gonna say, that means you have to go there on Friday so you can come to our studio and tour the next day.
Any other What's that? Anything else?
JR, thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
One more thing.
Okay, turn the light off. Thank you. Yep, awesome. Let me just talk for just a minute. We're gonna take a little break in just a second, about 15 minutes. When we're done, before I do that, make sure you sign in, okay? If you have your take on the Cosmic Cat, make sure you put your name on the list. And after the break, and also if you didn't get the sign-up sheet for refreshments, and you'd like to help us out September, October, November, we still need refreshments, right? For our meetings. And after the break, I know Bill Robinson wants to say a few things, and then we'll do our Cosmic Cats, and then you're gonna have to listen to me again for a while, so, okay. So,
Okay, go get your
take a break.
cookie.